nerf to Il'gynoth, but mostly I'm just happy it's a non-brute Demon Hunter deck that is king here in APAC.
Right, and I think it's embracing a lot of the things that make Brute Demon Hunter powerful, but doing it with a slightly different twist. It's still got the glides, which have been the real winning cards here, but it has the removal as well. It's able to actually fight back and not necessarily needing to only hit Brutes as the only win condition. So, as you say, I'm glad that we're getting our own spin on things here in Asia Pacific, with OTK Demon Hunter doing very, very well for our competitors. But to get things rolling here, first game of the Grand Finals. Rogue up against the Warlock, a matchup that I always start out by saying that I think Rogue is in a good spot. They should get the lethal before the Warlock can get their threats online. But we have seen the Rogue, I think, start to show some cracks in this matchup.
I'd throw a slight disclaimer to that in that I don't think Rogue gets lethal before Warlock ever hits a big threat on board, especially if they have an Etheron and are on coin. I generally think a couple of Flesh Giants can hit the board before the Rogue wins, but Rogue has just enough tools to delay that I feel they should be able to still pull out the win on average. The Cult Neophyte can be a big problem, especially if the Warlock raises Dead Them, plays 2 right when the Rogue is telegraphing they're going for the lethal at the other end. But Flesh Giants can be delayed by the likes of Brain Freeze. Even a big Prize Plunderer can get the job done, but once again, it's all off the back of Octobot and Field Contact, and of which TIZS currently has 1, but the Shroud of Concealment gives him a good chance of finding maybe not particularly Field Contact, but enough minions to discount so that by the time he does hit the contact, it's going to do major work.
Really interesting turn here actually for okasinnsuke as to whether or not you go with the tour guide at the end of your turn here, because in terms of in one aspect it's bad, right? It puts a bad minion into your raised dead pool when you just want to get threats. It's another card out of your hand for a Netheron when you should still have mana to tap every turn. But in another aspect, the Flesh Giant part of the hand, it starts to look pretty good actually. You can go tap Spice Bread Baker here, and I know the heal is not especially impactful, but it's another tick down on the Flesh Giant, which brings it down to 5 mana on the following turn, which is a big difference in terms of being able to get an 8/8 down that one turn earlier, counteracting the nerf, which was so impactful in this matchup. Is a very cool way to approach it from okasinnsuke, assuming he goes for the Bread Baker here.
I definitely like the tour guide at the very least, because I feel that you don't have the luxury to really curate your raised dead pool in this matchup, because as you said, the tour guides are making the giant cheaper for less mana, and like if you have to wait a couple turns to make sure your raised dead pool is only giants, by the time you play your first giant, you might even die before you can raise that for the second giant. So I like the approach from okasinnsuke. I'm also liking the look of the Bread Baker just to get giant on curve next turn, and then by that point you might just have 3 minions in the raised dead pool, still a pretty decent chance of getting the giant back.
Yeah, it's really awkward because I'm now actually looking at the fact that you can go, whether or not you can go raised dead next turn and fit in a Netheron plus Flesh Giant, because if you play the Bread Baker and it dies, I believe you would go raised dead up to 9 cards on the following, you'd go up to 9 cards on the following turn, which would be one off being able to go in Netheron plus Flesh Giant, which is a little awkward. But either way, I still think I would have ended up on the Bread Baker at the end there, just because now the best that okasinnsuke has is tap a Netheron, which is good. You know, it keeps the taps rolling in every turn, which is worth something. But an 8/8 versus an 8/6 is, a pretty big difference actually in terms of stats that you get.
Yeah, I guess he wasn't accounting for the possibility of Neophyte, or pretty much just saying if there's Neophyte, then it really wrecks you. I'm not going to play around that. But yeah, this turn ends up being kind of awkward now. It's no big deal for TIZS to get through this, even just with trades on board. But the real big deal is looking for the contact. Gonna let her rip with the passage, 7 cards in the original hand. Always keep track of this, depending on how much more you draw afterward. There's the contact and a step. Ooh. Big money. He plays this whole hand.
Right, so 7 cards in the last hand. Broom draws 1, Brain Freeze draws another, Shadow Step to get the contact back in hand. I
think I'll overdraw
this might overdraw him by 1.
Unless I miscounted the original hand.
Right.
It was 6, but there was still a coin in there. That looks like a full hand to me.
Yeah, so it probably should have been the Broom first, and then you go with the contact for TIZS here.
or Brain Freeze, same thing.
Yeah,
Just
exactly.
drawing one less. I do agree with that. He's possibly saying, I'd rather have the thinner deck and am accepting the risk of overdrawing one of the key combo cards, of which it's really just the other Garrote, because he does already have Ethereal and Shadow Step left. He only needs those two plus a target and both Garrotes to get it done. But if he loses the other Garrote, could be in some trouble.
Yeah, Garrote Octobot as well, I would argue, is pretty big, just because that could be a full turn difference in terms of how quickly you're getting your combo down, especially as Okashinsuke is not taking this one lying down. He is putting forward a huge amount of pressure on this turn with Tour Guide tap. I believe that completes the quest and gets him down to 1 mana Giants, which means both can come down alongside it.
Oh, yeah, if this does complete quest, and you're right, this is an enormous board push, and currently no prize plunderers in hand for TIZS. Like in this situation, that's a big one to lose off of Overdraw too. But he has a gazillion mana to work with. I think miracles are still possible here, but he needs to go fast. Okay, not a big deal losing Foxy.
Foxy Fraud down, and I mean, I guess the Octobot still in play means that this could actually be a step Octobot play here. Like, you draw a bunch of cards off the auctioneer with your 0 mana cards, step the Octobot, yeah, okay, play it again, activate it with the 0 mana Ethereal Orc Merchant, play the other one, go again.
Is this lethal?
I think it might be. I think it honestly might be.
Yeah, we'll just see. TIZS looks very confident about it, and you have to be if you're playing these turns. He has, you know, well enough board space to get this done, and if it is all a matter of just finding lethal here, then he can prize plunder his own minions as well. There's another field contact. I don't think you end up affording to play it because you still need to play the other Garrote as well. But double contact turns can get you like twice the draw. Faster Garrotes, hand space then becomes an issue as well.
Yeah, I don't think he has the mana because he has to play the other Garrote still here. He still has enough mana to keep going, but he needs to make sure he has the time to get there because the rope is burning. He still needs to play the other Garrote and draw through his deck.
I think he's just bailing, just going prize plunder instead. That's okay. He'll still end up super ahead here and have the second contact in hand and the other Octobot.
Okay, sure. Yeah, he's never ever dead here.
However, there are hands from the hand lock that allow him to heal out of range now.
Right.
Shinsuke doesn't have one of those hands, especially with the Neophyte play, but okay. It's only 8 healing. It's not that much.
So he can heal up to 9, clear the board, and then it's still just lethal because there's exactly 9 damage with the dagger and all Garrote plus bleed effects.
Yes, that's correct. And TIZS does have mana to do that because he can proc the Octobot with the Pen Flinger, get all the Garrotes in deck, draw them out with field contact plus 1 thief, and get the dagger for lethal. He has to clear the board, right? I thought it meant like touch and then soul rend, but he's saying just remove 4 points and heal 8. This is...
He gets the run over effect because the Neophyte's on board. He can heal for 12 on this turn instead. And so because of this play, he does actually survive the turn. That was sick.
True. I forgot about how that works with Tamsin Neophyte despite seeing it on Europe yesterday.
Man, that was so clever.
So now TIZS needs to discover some supplementary burn from his 1 Thieves.
Right.
Okay. Probably just mask?
But there's so much health on board. Are you going to be able to actually clear it? I think it's a Pegasus.
Maybe not. Okay. True. That also summons a minion at this point. I forgot.
Yeah.
Snap Freeze, just so you have 1 mana ignore giant, basically.
I guess.
Counter spell, you know about another touch in hand, but they'll probably test for it with something else. And right now he doesn't even need to play contact, right? Because the Garrotes don't need to be drawn now. They're dealing 8 one way or another.
So he does get the 2 damage face. The dagger swing has to go face as well, right? You need to get every single point of damage you can wiggle out of this game.
I agree. So the dagger going face plus Garrote now is 9 damage. There's a Pexis Blast for 14.
I think that's just it. I think Okashinsuke got there with Soul Rend Bread Baker. Doesn't that just win?
Yes.
Or Soul Rend Scavenger, and I mean, I guess you'd have to shoot your own Scavenger with the Bristleback, which doesn't make much sense, but you can clear and you can heal. It's everything you need to do.
Yeah. You can Soul Rend Bread Baker and touch the Bread Baker as well for maximum healing. From his perspective, this mage spell could be more than the 5 damage we see it is, right? It could be Mask, so 10. Could be Fireball for 6. Could be Ignite for who knows how much.
Yeah, I mean
a lot with Field Contact Ignite.
Could be Primordial Studies for Guild Trader, right? And then maybe the +8 that you get off all the spell damage there gets him up to 16. I mean, even then, that's still not lethal.
Yeah. I mean, obviously, there's probably too many possibilities running through Okashinsuke's head right now that he is just going to take the safe play here. I think... Okay, holding on to the touch here because there's still one more field contact that he might have to clear, fair enough. But there's the Apexis, nothing major. Okashinsuke's just crossed over the threshold here. I think he's just made it with the second Soul Rend.
It was Mozaki, right? That was the out to be able to get enough spell damage to be able to kill your opponent on the same turn there.
Maybe. That would be sick.
Yeah, or maybe
Agwin.
Yeah, I know, that would be so sick. But I think there, as we can see, I mean, Bristleback, Soul Rend, take your pick here. Well, actually, don't. Use the Bristleback. That's the better play. Do that and then win the game as Okashinsuke. What a sick line to see that with the Tamsin and all those repeated Touch of the Nathrazms.
True. I thought he was just dead there because he wasn't able to heal for more than 8, but he found a way to heal for 12. Cleared most of the board in the meantime, and TIZS is just gonna throw it down there. An amazing game. Honestly, for TIZS there, like, I don't fault him whatsoever for going off on that turn and going for lethal because if you don't go off with field contact, you are dead to the board of Giants there. He eventually went for prize plunders rather than taking a not guaranteed Garrote lethal, which I think is fine in a lot of circumstances, but oh my goodness, just an incredibly cool pan out. There's also ways we can look back and dissect the turn. Could he have maybe delayed the second Octobot proc a bit later after he had drawn more cards? But it's so difficult to figure out the ideal sequence because it really depends on what you get off the top. It's just a hard deck, the same way with like D6. Could you have sequenced the self-damage effects before Tamsin so you could get more mana with your Dark Lair? That type of thing. This is just the new terror of the meta and equally difficult, if not more so, to pilot.
I mean, there's so many things to consider. Like, I'm wondering if it could ever have even been you play the field contact, you step the bot, you give your minion spell damage, and then you go Secret Passage to try and get through to the rest of the cards in your deck. It like you'd have to play the first Garrote first, and maybe you just run out of mana at that point as well. But man, it's such a tough deck. Difficult to play, difficult to cast, in all honesty. There's a lot of quick mental maths involved and having trying to think back on all the branching paths that could have been gone down. But it's just an absolute delight, this Garrote Rogue, to see the different players play it well and play it wrong. Honestly, when players misplay, I still think it's a deck that's so complicated. I don't want to poop on the players who do play it poorly because it's very difficult, and I think it still raises interesting questions when they do mess up.
I mean, macro game plan is one thing we can argue about. Micro is something you need a lot of practice on because it's so many actions in one turn. Like we were saying, is this lethal that turn? Like we love to say as casters, especially to ourselves during practice, it's lethal, just go in, D6, Garrote Rogue, but you don't know the order in which your deck is placed. If you end up drawing a couple of zero-cost spells and you held on to Octobot to discount more things, then it's not actually discounting that many things, and you're like, oh no, what do I play next? It's just so many things to consider, but TIZS will have to consider them in another game because he is moving on to the Celestial Druid now, which also involves some APM, but it's a lot more straightforward when you actually get handed the hand with the Celestial alignment, and that is a card that's absolutely backbreaking against OTK Demon Hunter. Even before the nerf, this deck was very favored against Demon Hunter. With Il'gynoth to 6, I guess it doesn't really even matter the nerf because it's going to 1 anyway with alignment.
Yeah, it's strict buff. That's what people didn't even realize with Il'gynoth. It's now just a 4-8 when you play it versus Druid. But you're absolutely right. Yeah, the real difference with this matchup as opposed to the Druid versus Fell Demon Hunter is the skulls, because post alignment it can get a little bit tricky when they're drawing 0 mana Jaces, 0 mana card draws, 0 mana Il'gynoth, whatever it may be. In this matchup though, if it's pre-Kurtrus, it's very difficult for them to actually turbo through their deck quickly enough. Like maybe if they haven't gone with many quest procs that yet, they can go for drawing a couple cards in a turn and then turn their 1 mana cards into 0 mana cards because of completing quest stage 2. But very often as the Demon Hunter, I think you're supposed to try and turbo through your quest as quickly as possible and just pray that you get Kurtrus in hand 1 turn before they can go with the alignment.
And I do think this is the matchup that TIZS was hoping to see with this Druid. I think out of all the possible combinations of matchups here, this one leans most heavily in favor of the Druid. TIZS, as long as he can get that alignment before Kurtrus, which as we know is like turn 6 on a good day, turn 7 maybe here and there. And that's super doable for Druid to get alignment by then. But first they need to draw, well, card draw and then overgrowth.
Us, brother.
Ooh, okay. Nature Studies and Fungal with Anaconda in hand. I think we're keeping that, right? You don't have the potential disaster of discarding Anaconda, and you got a few draws for alignment. Onsta keep?
Onsta keep, yeah. I mean, it's not alignment just yet, but Fungal Fortunes is one of your most efficient ways of actually finding the ramp, finding the alignment, and make sure you have things to do in the early turns. And the Anaconda is your win condition post-alignment, so sounds good to me.
A grimace from okasinnsuke as he gets himself a double immolation or a starting hand. Yeah, Puke is correct. It's not the worst hand I've ever seen. Like, any hand with Sigil is automatically okay, but it's far from a great hand.
Probably grimacing at seeing TIZS' full keep as well when you see that as alignment Druid.
Right.
The composting pick from TIZS is pretty much because all the other choices were pure garbage. I don't really know if he'll have any composting targets until he's already actually won the game because Anaconda has hit the board, but sure.
Well, this hand for okasinnsuke is okay now. He's got guaranteed quest stage 2 complete, or stage 1 completed this next turn, sorry. And then with all the cards he's drawing, it's pretty reasonable to assume he'll be able to do stage 2 the turn after.
And for the meantime, TIZS is missing on the ramp part of the equation.
Yeah.
He has this one innervate, but the 2 nourishes, like ideally you save them for after Anaconda, but it's looking like he might have to use one of them as a less efficient overgrowth in this position.
Yeah, I wonder what you can get a read on as the third card that was kept for okasinnsuke, because if your opponent had, like if the third card was Celestial Alignment, I don't think you would have kept the other 2 cards most of the time. You'd look for like specifically the innovates and blooms and maybe some of the ramp as well. I guess as you said, Fungal can help you find that.
I think you would still keep that with alignment. Or just the combination of Nature Studies Fungal is just good because it allows you to be as efficient as possible with your early 2 turns, and then you keep the win condition on top. I think that makes sense. We can draw Giga cards here. Not so far as second quest completion all at once. It gets to be +4 cards, but I mean, it's really close.
Oh, it's so annoying. I really want to do it, but I don't think you do. I think the coin is just too valuable. You need to make sure it's not about drawing cards against Druid so much, it's getting the quest done. Getting Kurtrus in hand pre-alignment is the single most important thing in the matchup.
It's rare that it happens, but if you are able to land the Kurtrus before alignment, suddenly their alignment is somewhat of a detriment to them because you can realistically just OTK the turn after. Your deck costs nothing and there's still card draw in there. Okay, 2 innervates, not ideal, but he's able to nourish now, I guess, for ramp. This is looking more like an Anaconda game than an alignment game, actually.
I mean, the problem is that Anaconda just isn't that good in this version of the deck pre-alignment. Like, you can go Anaconda, I mean, nothing next turn. Like, you can't fit in the Nourish, you can't fit in the Cenarian Ward. You really do need the Germinations to be able to really make her pop off.
And so we could see Nourish for draw instead next turn, but one way or another,
Yeah.
TIZS needed to empty hand space before he could draw, so might as well ramp with that. That would mean then both Nourish is used prior to alignment, which is kind of a disaster, but I guess you just kind of hope you pick up Overgrowth by that point. Spectral, sign me up.
Okay, yeah. I mean, I think he was in one way trying to find a way to get his middle Spectral Sight outcast, but when you get a second one, yeah, you just don't really care. You're very happily going to complete this level of quest this turn and set up for Kurtrus probably 2 turns time, but can you ever curate it to play Kurtrus next turn if you get the perfect series of mana reductions?
I don't think it's quite possible because to outcast the Spectral Sight, you'd have to play all this stuff on the left, which is a little bit too expensive. But it's close. Oh! Okay, he can coin glide right now, but then... I mean...
That's Kurtrus next turn. Oh no, wait, it's one off?
I mean, this doesn't get him Kurtrus right now, right?
Yeah, it doesn't, no.
Out?
I think it gets up to 4.
I think he was more excited just to ruin TIZZ's turn because he felt like it was going to be alignment here.
Right.
Anna. But, I mean, this still works out pretty good for Okashinsuke, but Anacondra's back, and I see Fungal Fortunes in hand.
Oh, there's a lot you can work with here. You could go Anaconda Solar Fungal, right, on this next turn?
Yeah. I love that. I think that's pretty good. It doesn't really allow you to get to alignment immediately, but neither does this. And, like, this is the window closing for alignment, right? Next turn, Kurtrus in hand. Oh no, loses an auctioneer.
Oh!
Joking! Oi, oi, oi.
And is that Mally as well? Oh!
Is that just 3 minions?
That's every minion in his deck.
6 draws, 3 of the minions?
Oh!
Unbelievable.
Disgusting. I mean, he's got the alignment now, but it's, I think, just going to be too late, right? You got trade, draw, trade, double jump. Kurtrus is in hand.
Yep. I do think, like, sometimes you have to end up playing the Spectral for 1, or you just play this Outcast Spectral, sure, to guarantee it. That's... is it GG? I think so.
I don't think it's GG, because, again, you have to remember, just because it's Kurtrus available to be played for 1 mana the turn after alignment, they've just played a 5-mana 7/7, then you have Anaconda, and if you're lucky, you get some card draw, right? All the big ones have gone by the wayside, but there's still Overgrowth. That's it, but there's still Overgrowth. You can still draw cards off of Overgrowth. Maybe you can just hit Solar Cenarian and hit the nuttiest, like, Taint Heart Tormentor or something.
Wait, how do you draw cards off of Overgrowth? Sorry, you lost me.
Sorry, Nourish. I meant apologies, not Overgrowth.
He played 2 Nourishes, Dark.
No, he only played 1, right, I think? Because he got the second one glided away.
Oh, did he? Okay. Okay, fair enough.
Apologies, yeah. I meant Nourish, not Overgrowth. That's my bad.
Okay, so... you have a better chance of winning with the Runner Nourish off the top, or just like Anaconda Bloom Cenarian Ward.
I think you just got to go Celestial. Like, I know it sucks, but you're kind of losing this game anyway. If they just go Kurtrus and you're playing the Cenarian Ward, you get so quickly outpaced. They will easily be able to clear whatever 8-drop you play, and then they'll just find the combo. They can easily deal 70 at this point.
What if you get Taint Heart Tormentor, though? I guess it's even better next turn then.
Exactly, yeah. It kind of needs to be post-alignment.
Nourish? Nope. No card draw for TIZZ right now. Do you just Overgrowth this turn then? Because Anaconda actually dies to the Kurtrus.
I mean, you can still kill it, right? You can go Overgrowth and then Bloom, Luna, plus Feral Rage. Or that.
Or just get a Terralion. Sure, yeah. I mean, your line made sense as well, and you kind of offset the overload by playing Overgrowth.
Yeah.
But obviously, this is just more convenient. Okay.
Do you have... I'm looking at obviously unlocking the Spectral Sight here, but I'm wondering if it's more important to clear, because you of course have that available with Arcanist Immolation Aura just to kill off the Anacondra.
I think I like that, because how are you realistically losing from this point if they've played Anacondra, both Auctioneers and Malagos gone, so their best card draw from this point is Nourish?
Yeah.
So he's gonna swing in Arcanist Immo. It'll leave a 3/3 Terralion, but big deal.
Yeah, I agree, and then that's a perfect target for I-Beam next turn. Okay, going for I-Beam instead. Okay.
Just leave a 3/9 Terralion. Essentially the same thing as leaving a 3/3 Terralion, except he maintains an Arcanist in hand, which is arguably more valuable than Morg. I don't know. He still has one of each left in the deck, as it seems. But the important thing is he uses the I-Beam now, right? So the Spectral Sight is unlocked for next turn.
Yeah, I do think this is a slight optimization here. TIZS, I mean, you can argue for the benefits of holding on to Lunar Eclipse to clear off a minion. Maybe it allows him to clear off Tempo Il'gynoth with Lunar Eclipse Feral Rage hero power, but I mean, your opponent's just never going to do that. They're just going to kill you in a combo turn here. And there's no real reason to hold on to spells for Auctioneer because they're both gone thanks to double Fungal Fortunes.
Oh. I just cringed thinking of that turn. That was so unlucky. Is this lethal?
It could be. It very well could be.
I like starting with Acro. You can guaranteed play whatever comes off of it for 2 more draws for free.
Yeah.
Sometimes you get to Il'gynoth Moarg and Fellscream Blast run at that point.
I mean, I think whatever you're going to do, it should have happened about 10 seconds ago because this could be a very high APM necessary turn.
Yeah, possibly.
Oh, okay, you probably stop now because I think there's too high a chance that you mess this up. Yeah.
You can Spectral if you land a Moarg or a Fellscream. You can go in even further, but yeah, probably just Sigil Runner and bail now. Yeah. Because if somehow they generate a way to deal with Il'gynoth and you've left it on board, that is very, very bad. This I-Beam is nowhere near enough. Even with Fellscream, I don't think it's lethal yet.
Oh yeah, no. Like, you need the Moargs here. The spell damage doesn't stack quickly enough, I don't think.
He does have +6 spell damage, though, on one spell.
It's true. That's pretty big.
Which means that as it stands, Fellscream Blast is already dealing 21 damage, which is a weird number I never thought I'd see in OTK Demon Hunter. But yes.
Yeah, I've never seen the 21 or 42 breakpoint either. That's quite a one to add to our collection in terms of all the different OTKs that you can try and go for.
Okay, this alignment's big though, because now all the zeros are reset to 1. TIZS has time again, but how much?
Oh, man, it's so close to lethal again already. Like, you have to draw the Fellscream Blast, but you can obviously trade the Guild Trader back down to 0, right?
Correct. I guess he's overdrawing this turn if he does just that, so I'm thinking that being like a dump Immolation turn, maybe dump I-Beam, but the I-Beam could be a combo piece too. If we count the +6 damage on I-Beam, it's 9, with a Moarg is 18. I guess that's nowhere near enough being relevant, so he can dump it.
Yeah.
But I'd still prefer to dump Immolation, I think.
Demons.
All okasinnsuke needs to do is not overdraw. Don't mess this up, because the last 3 cards in his deck are Philosophy, double Fellscream Blast. Like, he has infinity damage in the next few turns. He just needs to make sure he doesn't mess it up along the way, because I don't think it's possible for TIZS to accrue a board that's threatening enough to kill him before he gets there.
I was about to have a heart attack thinking he would trade the Peddler, but this makes sense too. I just said dump a card. Sure, absolutely. Play a 4/3 on the board. That is able to clear, but... oh, man. I feel so bad for TIZS. He just wasn't allowed to play the game here.
Yep.
This is 1 mana off lethal, I think. Even if you spend a mana to trade, you get back Philosophy. Like you don't have mana to play Il'gynoth plus spell damage plus 2 Morgs. So it's 1 more turn of waiting, I believe.
Yeah.
It's guaranteed next turn.
Yeah, so last 2 cards, Philosophy and Guild Trader. Has to just be guaranteed, right?
Yes, because if you get Philosophy, which costs 0, you can then play 2 Morgs and 2 Arcanists, which with 1 Fellscream Blast is 40 damage? Oh, I guess it's not lethal just yet. TIZS is at
15,
45.
30, 60. I think that'd be 60 damage, right? Yeah.
Hold on. Oh, yes, you're right. My bad. Yeah, it gets there next turn for sure. And if you get Guild Trader, it's that much easier. Why is okasinnsuke shaking his head? He's fine. Seen all the alignments.
Yeah, I think so. So if you get Guild Trader, you have 1, 2, 3. Is it easier if you get Guild Trader? Isn't that just a lot less damage?
And it's the 42. Is that what we were talking about a while ago?
Right.
Yeah.
Okay.
42 is not there. Okay, but he got the fellow, so this is guaranteed.
So you have 3 mana available on this turn. You can go Philosophy. It always copies the Moog.
Yes.
You then play Moog, double spell damage, Il'gynoth, Fellscream Blast. As long as you do it in this order and you don't mess up playing another spell before the Philosophy, you're fine. It's 60 damage, I think.
Yeah, I mean, don't blame him for checking once, twice, because this is the weirdest breakpoint we've ever had to see in OTK Demon Hunter. But yes, we can do the math again. 2 Talented Arcanists means that 1 Fellscream Blast on 3 targets is base dealing 15 damage. You double it once to 30 with 1 Morg, double it twice to 60 with 2 Morgs, and that's going to be the game. Wait.
Doesn't see
did we mess up, Derek?
Il'gynoth, Arcanist. I don't think so. I think he's just tunnel visioning on needing the Guild Trader for 0 mana.
Maybe. I mean, he's not gonna get punished.
It doesn't matter.
Wait. Yeah, there's no Anaconda. Nothing.
Apologies. Sorry. The punish is you draw Cenarian Ward and you get Taint Heart, right? That's the punish.
Oh yeah. Is praying?
2 shots at it.
Cenarian? 2 shots. We're looking for Taint Heart Tormentor, which is not in the deck list, so we cannot highlight it, but it is an 8 mana, 8/8 taunt, which makes your opponent's spells cost 2 more, if I'm not mistaken.
I think it might still be lethal, actually, in all honesty, because the Fellscream Blast costs -1 at the moment, so they would go up to their regular cost. Right, because they're reduced by 2.
1?
So they go up to 1, which I think still gets there. Either way, okasinnsuke, surely this is 1 trillion damage. Come on. I know you need more than 60 now, but you have more than 60 now.
I think this is 84.
84.
Did the 21 a while ago, and now it's doubled twice.
Yeah,
That's
agreed.
even just with 1 Fellscream, not even counting the I-Beam or the second Fellscream. This is a good trillion. Come on, okasinnsuke. he's at 66. Chump change.
Yeah. Pathetic. Only 66 health. Okay, correct.
Here we go.
Correct. Loving what I'm seeing so far. Impeccable.
I got it all.
Okay, you can I-Beam first.
Sure.
Yep. He's trying to maximize it, Derek. Don't blame him. Just trying to get the most you possibly can.
Just kill him! Come on, please! You have 1 billion! You don't need this!
I just want to see if we were right on the 84. I'm still not sure.
Hey, there we go.
Yeah! It's a number I've never seen with OTK Demon Hunter. This deck is the gift that keeps on giving. He got the extra 20 for the grand total of 104. Well done, okasinnsuke, even though it could have happened a turn sooner.
Yeah, I know. Could have happened a turn sooner. And even like doing the I-Beam there, although that kills your opponent more, that somehow detracts cool points. Like, come on, you just go for it. Just go for it. Exactly. It's pure VM. But obviously, all jokes aside, he got there. He gave his opponent maybe slight subtle outs. Like, if it had been double Taint Heart exactly off of Solar plus Cenarian, then yes, you have just lost the game at that point, when he could have won the game a turn sooner. Clearly, just as we said, tunnel visioning on the Guild Trader as the spell damage he needed. But here, as you can see, I think you can pinpoint the exact frame where TIZZ's heart breaks, because this was the most unlucky turn of Hearthstone I've seen in a long while.
Bring back the Orca. He needs it. I feel bad for him. I need the Orca right now, the stuffed Orca. Because, my gosh, this was supposed to be a great matchup for TIZZ. Yeah. In most respects, it really is. As long as you just, A, find alignment before turn 6 and get to play it, sometimes even turn 7 if their Kurtrus is a bit slower, or B, don't discard all the Auctioneers and the Malagos.
Yep.
It had to be the perfect storm of the worst possible outcomes for TIZZ to lose that one. But all hope is not lost. The last remaining deck for okasinnsuke is a deck that I can see TIZZ sweeping.
Yeah, this is the target, right, of both Possessi, okasinnsuke, and TIZZ as well. I think less okasinnsuke because he has it in his lineup, but TIZZ in particular, he has left himself, I believe, with 3 good matchups up against Quest Shaman. Druid, I like it. I think the Shaman can apply pressure, but they struggle to apply enough to fight back against the power of an early alignment. The Demon Hunter, I think, again, a pretty good matchup. Shaman struggles to put up enough pressure against all the removal that Demon Hunter has. And for the Rogue, they can't kill him quick enough. Once again, it's the failure to get enough stats on board for the Shaman before all these powerful combo plays come down. As now TIZZ has got himself what looks like pretty much the nuts. He's got ramp, celestial alignment. It's just card draw he's missing.
This is what he was supposed to have last game, I guess. I mean, you don't even need a hand this good to beat OTK Demon Hunter, but TIZZ honestly looking a little bit down, and I can't blame him, just taking a little bit of time to collect himself before he passes turn 1, because from every turn from here on, he'll be doing the most powerful things his deck can do. The only missing ingredient is a little bit of card draw, whether it be in the form of Auctioneer, Nourish, or Malagos. Whereas okasinnsuke, I honestly think that into Shaman, the Druid is probably the toughest, or like the Druid will have the hardest time against Shaman compared to the rest of TIZZ's deck. That's just my opinion, because Garrote Rogue, we can argue back and forth about that. But Shaman does have some combinations of early draws that pressure the Druid in these early turns where they're ramping. Maybe not against the perfect ramp into, what is this, like turn 4 Celestial Alignment. But early charge calls sometimes can put them off of being able to do that. okasinnsuke with no Lightning Bloom start, though, doesn't really have a good charge call, so it's probably just going to be the portal here.
It's a tough turn, though, because his opponent has just ramped up to 7 mana, which, given that he kept 1 card in the mulligan, you have a reasonable read that it's going to be Celestial Alignment, which is why I do actually really like deviating away from the Overload card here to go with Wand Thief, just because it means he has a mana next turn to be able to go Serpent Shrine.
Yeah, fair enough. So Serpent Shrine will then overload him the next turn, but at least he'll have the 2 mana to still be able to play like a 1 mana card.
And well, he'll be able to play 2 cards then, right? Because he'll unlock his quest with the Novice Zapper, so it works out as well as it can do for okasinnsuke, given that he's been hit by the turn 4 alignment, as you said.
Yeah, on 1 out of 3 on Quest 1 here, so it does work out exactly the way you said. You could start Zapper if you're saying like your average 3 drop is gonna have more, not gonna have more than 3 attack anyway, which I think is a reasonable assumption. Then you can eke out 1 more damage by going Serpent Shrine the turn after with the spell damage. I guess the Zapper is guaranteed to be dead to Lunar Eclipse if it's there, but by this point, straits are dire enough that I think okasinnsuke should just take every risk possible in order to get maximum damage.
Could alternatively go Note Taker and then next turn go Novice Zapper plus Serpent Shrine, which would unlock his crystals going into 3 mana. I don't know if that's necessarily much better though.
Yeah, I really see little utility in Note Taker now because it's going to copy you a full cost spell, right? So whether that's Serpent Shine or even Charged Call, it's going to take your whole turn, 2 turns from now to deal. So I think it's fine to just start with the Zapper here. Meanwhile, for TIZS, oh my gosh. Ramping up, Solar Eclipse, 4 turtles.
Yeah, it's pretty good. I wasn't necessarily convinced that he would go for ramp there because draw is obviously tempting when you have no other card draw in hand. But when I look at these gorgeous bejeweled shells, all qualms I had melt away.
A decent perpetual though. He can take 2 VTs. I guess there's still a 50-50 at the end of that, but I really like the idea of playing Flame as your unlock card because that's the heaviest overload at the moment. This is 3rd overload spell, so if he is going to Flame at the end of it, the drawback will be pretty high. It does, I think, though, guarantee a full clear.
That's okay, I guess. Just taunt.
Yeah, anything with Rush is great, because now he takes 3 VTs and can play Perpetual and can go face with the Zapper. It does, however, mean he has no turn next turn.
Yep, will just be a complete skip, which is pretty hardcore, actually.
Yeah, it wasn't actually a guaranteed full clear without the rushing minion, right? Because he would have to trade the Zapper, which means that 1 turtle is left at 4 HP, which means you don't have the spell damage. So, all things considered, good outcome. Every damage pushed face is important for Okashinsuke here. TIZS looking for the card draw. That's big money!
Ooh. Okay, no minions this time, please. That looked like the good animation. I think that's nothing but spells. Lunar Eclipse. Oh, Heart of Cthulhu is insane. Okay.
Malagos. This is the game. This is the game. Even if you just go Heart Turtles and then Anaconda again next turn, that wins. I mean, you can do just Malagos this turn and it wins, but it's significantly worse, I think.
I mean, you can go Heart Anaconda if you want to spend the mana on that proactively. They have no turn. They literally cannot interact with it.
True. But Turtles is more attack than Anaconda. So.
Very true. Oh, is it really not Heart? Or, okay. Just dumping cards?
Yeah, because he's going to play Malagos, I guess.
Sure, yeah, okay.
Okay, more attack than Turtles is Anaconda Cenarian War. Fair enough. Yeah, I actually really like the Lunar Eclipse. He was guaranteed to not have a target on the other side next turn because Okashinsuke's passing, so.
Yeah, pretty smart. And so now, yeah, sure, Lunar Eclipse your own minion. Probably best in Shell, Feral Rage. Like, I mean, you can just do whatever you want here. The game is over.
I'd like to see him end on Celestial Alignment, just though.
Yeah, I agree. That's probably correct. He's not even going to get the chance, though, because Okashinsuke says, you can torture me no longer. Throws down the game. Shaman losing against the Druid. As you said, one of maybe the better matchups, the higher chance that Shaman has to get a win in this series. But now that the Druid is out of the way, it's the Demon Hunter and the Rogue left for Shaman to try and win with. And despite being in such a good position at the start of the series, 2-0 up right out of the gate, still for Okashinsuke, he's got this big question mark in the Shaman left over.
Yeah, it is a good all-rounder deck, but it suffers from being targetable by some of the more robust combo decks in the meta. Gonna run up against the OTK Demon Hunter now, which I believe the Shaman should generally have more time against that than it does versus Alignment Druid, because against Alignment on curve, if you're not able to present the lethal the next turn, you very much are at the mercy of Anaconda or further card draw. Against OTK Demon Hunter, your all-in board game plan is a little bit flimsier because damage is not permanent whatsoever against them, and the type of minions you build generally have 3 to 4 health, Dead to Immolation Aura with some spell damage, or Fell Scream Blast, which allows the Demon Hunter to heal back up. But I do think the Shaman has time to get to their Brukan, at which point they can maybe go for a hybrid board and burst damage based approach, and sometimes even race the Demon Hunter.
Can get there. It definitely can get there because, you know, as we've been saying, the Demon Hunter has plenty of removal, of course, but even if you just force them to take a turn off the quest, if you have enough pressure on the board to do that, yes, they've cleared your board, but you're maybe then moving the tide in your favor in the secondary battle that's going on in the game, which is there's 2 quest decks going on. You can then further complete your quest quicker than your opponent can, and that is all of a sudden approaching the situation where, again, double charged call, Demon Hunter cannot deal with that. They simply don't have the removal to deal with such massive minions.
And it's a great time to bring up this special tech card that Okashinsuke is running. He's got 2 copies of Cult Neophyte, which I've not seen in any other Shaman build across all the regions of GM. And it potentially messes with the OTK potential from TIZS, or even the quest completion more likely. If you see them play Sigil and you go Neophyte, you sometimes have to waste that extra draw they get off Sigil because they can't actually follow through on the quest completion. It is, however, a bit of a downside in the fact that Okashinsuke is not getting his own quest progressed by playing the Neophyte.
He does, however, have a reasonable hand in just the guidance alone to be able to keep going towards his quest. If he finds a note taker, then we're obviously absolutely laughing. And even just this alone, right? Neophyte ideally wants to be saved till next turn, I will say, but is it worth just playing it to make your curve a lot smoother?
I think so, because the next ideal turn to play, you're right, is turn 3, because they generally want to coin and then complete quests or use cards like Spectral Sight in order to get through it. So the fact that you would have to play Neophyte and deny yourself a Feral Spirit, get your own quest that much farther away from completion, means that Okashinsuke is just going to go for it. But TIZS had the perfect answer, and that's 1 tech card already doing a whole lot of nothing this game.
It's kind of interesting, actually.
So early is kind of annoying for TIZS, though.
Yeah, I mean, I wonder if it was actually correct to go for the Neophyte, because this way, the way it currently stands, he has to go Feral Spirit into Guidance is the best play he has, which is a big float on turn 4, whereas he could have gone Guidance on 2, Neophyte on 3, and then like Canal Slugger or Feral Spirits on turn 4 instead, and it still just involves less mana floating later on. It was a very strange turn at the start. They're very complicated.
True. Yeah, so if you go Guidance on 2, you overload and can still play Neophyte. That makes sense.
Right.
I think maybe Okashinsuke is just concerned about his next couple top decks, because it's very likely you pick up something to do on 3 mana that just curve anyway. As Shaman, you play Serpent Shrine Portal, 2nd Feral Spirit. I guess less so with this list from Okashinsuke, because he's cut both the Primal Dungeoneers and both the 3 mana 3/4 of your choice.
Well, that's a decent top deck to get, though, just to try and stop your opponent completing the quest next turn, and maybe put a board that's a little bit trickier to actually clear.
Fair enough. The bold is great. Yeah, as long as you get like 1 more overload spell from a Guidance, you're generally very, very happy. And to have it be this cheap is huge for Okashinsuke. Neophyte, it's really hard to pinpoint whether you're denying them anything significant this turn. But as long as they're not completing the quest and then you get to go for a Canal Slugger the next turn, that's a win.
Yep, probably just a pretty simple clear on this turn with another Immolation Aura to follow up. It's not like it's going to be starved for removal options. And especially with him very possibly going with a Glide in the next couple turns, just using the removal while he can makes sense.
And against Shaman in the early turns, they have certain pan-outs where they get to above 4 cards and you really want to glide their hand. But a lot of the time, they're just dumping cards, playing overloads, even if they're lightning bolts to face, just to get the quest done. So even if this glide won't be outcast for TIZS, I certainly think it's fine, especially to put back this Il'gynoth, which is likely to be a pain the longer it stays here on the left.
Okay. I-Beam is a pretty nice top deck there. I guess it wouldn't allow you to glide on the same turn, and realistically, I am just looking at glide here. I think Maybe with the Spectral Sight, you can hold off for 1 turn to get quest completion. But again, drawing more cards to complete a tick of the quest, and then shuffling all those cards back into your deck and drawing 4. I'd rather shuffle now and shuffle more card draw cards into my deck to draw the following turn, which is what TIZS has gone for.
However, Il'gynoth is back, and nobody wanted to see him this early. Severe lack of card draw for TIZS here. I guess there's double jump, which has an additional Spectral Sight in the pool now because he discovered one from the studies. But if he doesn't hit that, could be in trouble trying to get Purchase next turn. Meanwhile, okasinnsuke able to go face for 6 this turn. Not insignificant at all. Like, Canal Sauger is your best anti-aggro heal effect, but it's also a lot of matchups your best aggressive card. And he gets Rakara! It's just a 7-5 now.
Incredible order from okasinnsuke to go with the attack second here. And I mean, there's yet more in this turn. You can make a pretty all-in play that they don't have Immolation Aura if you wanted to, given that you've already seen one, because you can go Bloom, Bolt, Molten Blast, which summons you the 3/3 and 2 1/1s as well. It's very all-in, rather mana inefficient, but it's a lot of tempo.
Oh, I kind of like the sound of it, especially with the Rakara. Like, if things partially get cleared up, whatever's left on board is getting fucked up again. It's always Serpent Shrine first, Yara, because there's Rakara and there's Raid Leader.
True. He's holding back. Whether or not he knows it, it was the correct call here, because Moarg Immolation Aura would have just blown him out of the game had that come down, whereas now he has slightly stronger follow-up still.
Oh, wow for TIZS here. Insta Spectral Sight off of the Insta Crimson Sigil Runner. Kurtrus in hand. But it's not insignificant pressure on the other side. In fact, he might just die. Okay, I-beam. Saved.
That is a big top deck. I mean, yeah, it could have been Moarg Immolation and then swing to clear off the Canal Slogger, but that's a lot of damage you're then tanking. You're potentially just leaving yourself dead to burn, because even here, this is quite a lot of burn damage that okasinnsuke has access to still.
He's one of 3 on Quest 2, so I mean, the only way to get the 3/3 here is to play at least 1 piece of burn, because I don't think Lightning Blue is acceptable as a play here.
Well, it lets you get
Kurtrus already?
Rukan down, right?
Oh, yeah,
you go Perpetual Bolt, Bolt, Bloom. It's perfect mana utilization. You get a 7/7. That has to be worth it.
True.
You can overload for 1 less if you wanted to by bolting a minion and lose 3 damage to face. But he's gonna overload for how much? 6 on this turn? You could maybe have considered losing 3 damage to be able to play Molten Blast next turn.
Yeah. You could even call it 2 damage by trading Rakara instead.
Right, true, yeah.
Okay, but good spot. The fact that Brukan comes down this turn, even hits the board before Kurtrus. Unbelievable. Means that TIZS now doesn't quite have a free turn to just drop his own Kurtrus.
And so it has to be, that's a reasonable draw. Like, you have Guild Trader plus Immolation Aura, obviously, to deal 6 damage. It just survives the first hit, so it is the same as the Talented Arcanist in that respect. And then I guess you have to follow up with just a Fellscream Blast first, and then Immolation Aura to heal up for more.
Lost a Fellscream, though, which is not insignificant, but he still has enough combo at the end there. Just hoping okasinnsuke bricks from here, but that's possibly his best top deck. Not good. Not good! But next turn, if he hits Guidance, Charged Call, he could be talking. Fireheart as well. A lot of good top decks for okasinnsuke.
Lots of good top decks, yeah.
It's the question of whether he wants to overload at all for the very next turn. The Zapper can also just be held back for the Molten Blast, because with Rukan in effect, it's essentially spell damage plus 2, right? Oh, he's going for the I see. Just get the full board. He's seen both Immolation Auras. Okay.
Sure. I mean, I guess, yeah, it still gives you mana to play most cards that you draw next turn, even if your board is somehow miraculously cleared. And it's an awful lot of pressure. Kurtrus alone here is getting very, very scary for TIZS. With no card draw left in hand, he's going to have to rely on the swing of the weapon and trading in the minion to be able to get there.
The I-Beam was so clutch as well.
Yeah.
The Zapper, even more so than the 3-2 body, is representing so much damage after Brukan has been active. Serpent Shrine, 6 burst.
Oh, you
Is
have
Raid
to
Leader
point
lethal?
that face, right? Oh, true, actually. It's 1 off if you hit Raid Leader.
Oh, what about 2 Raid Leaders?
That'll do it. Double Raid Leader does get there.
Okay. Raven did just correct me that we do have access to search up cards that aren't in the deck here. So let me just go ahead and highlight Mr. Raid Leader himself here.
3 glorious health.
Yeah. Essentially 6 damage plus 5 damage because of the +1 attack to everything.
Yeah.
So, yeah, it would be 1 off, but okay, it goes on Kurtrus.
Share your thoughts with the class.
Oh, wow.
PTSD. I don't want to see her in any context, Derek.
Yeah, I mean, what even is that card? It's like whenever you play a shadow spell, deal damage to each player, I think.
Yeah, Scythian. I was reacting to Elucia though, but... Oh? 1 more away? He has mana still to do... Oh wait, no. If the wait, he can still do it with more, but it's not there. This is the last
Everything
spell
costs
screen
nothing. He gets to draw 3 more cards here.
Okay, yeah. If he hits
That's
Morg,
a Moog.
that's GG. That's the
What?
game.
No way!
Morgs, 5 mana exactly for Il'gynoth. That's 30 damage with a 0-cost spell scream blast. No Raid Leaders here, Derek.
Oh, what BM for okasinnsuke as well. This is how you count up OTK Demon Hunter lethal damage. Doing it instantly from TIZS and bringing us to game 5. Even drawing his entire deck with the effect just to throw salt in the wound. I thought that was over. He had no card draw last turn. His board was clear. He had nothing.
That's just how OTK Demon Hunter is built, right? You might have 1 or 2 bricks post Kurtrus, but the second you get 1 card draw effect, it's cascading because the card draw gets you more card draw.
Yeah.
Everything costs 1 or nothing, and the Il'gynoth being down at 5 at the beginning of the turn was an enormous deal, right? Imagine that we're still at 6 without the discount from the sigil did it come off of, or at least the quest proc, I forgot. That means that TIZS would have had to consider using the Fell Scream on minions just to stay alive, but the Fell Scream was his win condition, right? He would have to have done it with I-Beams without that. So clutch for it to have happened. But also, good on okasinnsuke, just spotting the turn you did, playing Brukan that much earlier, allowing himself top decks for guidance. I mean, I'd say Serpent Shrine Portal is above average, but it simply wasn't enough here. It had to be like charge call, maybe even a turn earlier.
Yeah, I mean, even the charge call there, like we saw, it would have still been too slow because he would have just been dead on the response. We're looking at, again, maybe there was that mistake by not leaving himself open to play the Molten Blast on the turn after Brukan, sacrificing 2 points of damage he would have to do, as you said, by attacking him with the Rakara, in order to clear off the entire board. But either way, I do think that was overall good understanding from okasinnsuke, going for Turbo Quest as quick as you can. But TIZS, you're not getting anything by him. He's always going to see the insta-lethals. And now, at the end of it all, Gia, the Shaman lost twice, as we somewhat expected, and it just has 1 final chance at redemption. It's just got to beat the Quest Rogue. A matchup that I think in GM, at least yesterday... the Garrote Rogue, sorry, not the Quest Rogue, got quests on the brain. A matchup that, at least in GM, is actually relatively even between the 2 decks. But I think in our perception, it does seem to lean significantly Rogue favored.
Yeah, if you are piloting the rogue to optimal capability, we'll leave that disclaimer there. Okashinsuke, another player who does keep Perpetual Flame versus rogue. I mean, given that both he and Surrender have done this explicitly, I will have to defer to their knowledge. As Shaman, every time I've had success in the matchup, it's been off the back of proactive. And you can see that from TIZS' mulligan. The fact that he threw away Shroud of Concealment, that's an insta-keep in a lot of other matchups just to guarantee you some card draw. But TIZS probably saying, it's too slow versus Shaman. They're going to get on board. I need to make sure I find Octobot. But we see that Okashinsuke went for the reactive game plan. And against this type of hand, I'm pretty sure TIZS would rather have a Shroud right now.
Okay, that's an interesting top deck. I think you're just going with throwing it down here and saying, I don't believe that you have Brain Freeze right now or have the inclination to spend it.
Yeah, I definitely like the idea of Note Taker. Again, I am all in on the tempo game plan when I face Garrote Rogue as Quest Shaman. Like you said, Brain Freeze is a possible clear. Some worlds, there's also Prize Plunderer. But both of those are pretty expensive resources because they need other cards to be played before they actually get the good effect, which means cards that are not happening during the field contact turn, cards that are not being discounted by Octobot. I think it's worth the risk.
Wow, Okashinsuke disagrees. Again, we talk about this dynamic where completing your quest is in a way gaining tempo, and by going for a slightly slower route here where you guarantee yourself an extra spell off Note Taker does guarantee you that quicker quest completion. But I think against Garrote Rogue in general, like the quest completion game plan is just a bit too slow. You want to force them to take awkward turns where they can't just play their card draw, play their Octobots, set up for their big card draw turns by pressuring them every turn.
I agree. It usually comes off the back of Bloom to go with Note Taker, but when that option isn't available, it's not as though waiting longer is gonna make the Rogue's life any harder. By the way, I love the turn 2 Neophyte from TIZS. It's really strong against Shaman, just because they always want to do something on turn 3 with a spell.
To make a wager, friend.
I mean, the irony here, Okashinsuke, if you're such a mage hunter, why'd you ban it? You can't summon it every time and then ban it away. But either way, again, another one of these setup turns here for TIZS. I guess getting a fair bit of tempo at the same time with the double Foxy Fraud, which is far from standard in these rogue lists. It's really just, again, the Octobot that he's missing here to really make this hand pop.
And he does have the Shroud for next turn to try and find it. It's just this pick. I was super curious because I was going to say Combustion's probably the responsible one to give him some additional removal options. But the Mana Biscuit is really strong in this deck because if you can discount it with Octobot, it essentially functions as another coin. You generate a mana. And so he's just going to go for that for the potential of a bigger field contact turn. He doesn't actually even need to discount it because next turn we could see Shroud plus Biscuit and just bank that mana for the field contact turn. But for now, Okashinsuke is going to be happy he held on to the Perpetual Flame in this situation. Gets him a nice way of completing Quest 1, no overload drawback, and he is then able to go for Note Taker opportunity. I honestly thought he would go Serpentine Investment and just hold Note Taker for something else.
Yeah, same. I mean, I was going to say, do you ever go Serpentine and hold the investment opportunity because it's so good with the Note Taker to keep your hand nice and full? This is a route I hadn't really considered, but it makes some amount of sense. You have a chance of drawing Zapper to get more damage off of your Serpentine portal too.
Yeah. Oh, Octobot drawn!
Yeah.
Yeah, good luck silencing it after it's been procced already. The stealth also not irrelevant here on the Og Merchant. That's just pretty annoying for Okashinsuke because TIZS can direct where that trades later on, step it if need be. I don't think he needs to commit a Prize Plunderer here.
Yeah, I agree. I don't think that there's enough pressure quite yet. I'm just wondering if the quest potential for Okashinsuke, because given that every card in his hand overloads, he can get quite a ways through. Whether or not he can set up for Brukan next turn, I think the big question.
I mean, he has exactly enough to get Brukan, but no way he has enough mana because, like, the Canal Slogger, like, he needs 5 cards, right, for quest 2 and 3 combined.
Yeah,
So playing Canal Slogger means you have to spend quite a lot. But it's decent. This turn could be...
What to do?
You could go super aggro of just like play everything, right? Other than a lightning bolt.
Yeah.
Except that you have a dead turn next turn, but you have a 3-3 on board plus a 6-4, and TIZS' board is clear because you played Perpetual Flame, and then just Brukan on turn 8.
I'm kind of tempted in it. Like, this game is, you're losing it as the Shaman. You need to put forward a really, really tough board to clear.
Yeah. Thing is any board tough enough against field contact for 2 mana online? Rakara again?
What is happening?
Just a Rakara summoner here. Okay. This is on the rush, it looks like, of Rakara. No, he didn't. Okay, it's a full turn. He's fine.
Sure.
He looks stressed.
Just holding off on the Perpetual Flame.
Yeah, I think I like this better, in fact. I mean, if he was going to hold on to anything, I think Flame made more sense than Lightning Bolt to hold, because he did just see a bunch of discounts. But TIZS is going, wasting no time. You love to see it. Prize Plunderer can go off for 4 attack already because of the Mana Biscuit.
Yeah, it's a very easy clear on the high attack minions. Looked like he was prioritizing the Mage Hunter there, which I don't know if I necessarily agree with. Yeah, let's get that damage off the board.
Oh, the Shadow Step. This board is gone in the blink of a second. Prize Plunderer. Still got 1 Shadow Step left. I fully advocate for using one here. Ruined Orb or another Biscuit, sure.
Oh. Yeah, okay, fair enough.
Oh my goodness.
Give me that.
Wow, 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 wow. Only thing he's really missing is another contact here.
Yeah. I mean, he can just keep going. Like, you could play the Mana Biscuit here if you wanted to, but he's ending up with Secret Passage trying to just thin his deck yet further. A Swindle will draw him 3 cards. I think that's okay. He doesn't overdraw still.
I'm unsure, but I think I prefer this Broom play if there was any chance of him overdrawing at all. Yeah, there were 7 at the beginning, so the Swindle would have overdrawn him on the original hand. So,
well, there was 6, right? Because the Broom drew him 1.
Oh, okay.
Which goes into hand. So he would have been okay, but I think it's still very reasonable to go with the Broom line.
And this is crazy because Okashinsuke, yes, he can clear the board, but he has like no mana to play Brukan the next turn.
So if you, I mean, obviously you have to bolt the Divine Shield, kill everything else. You're overloaded for 6. It's just too slow. He just missed out on the good stuff again.
I mean, he's probably dead next turn. But in the world where he's not, it might be correct to even Perpetual first to hope that you hit the Divine Shield first because you don't want to overload that much next turn. Pretty sure the board of 2-1s is less impactful than you being able to play Brukan next turn. I think it's all a formality because TIZS can probably just win the game next turn. But maybe if the other field contact is somewhere close to the bottom, Okashinsuke can get there with a Brukan next turn. If you flame and it like hits one thing and then the Divine Shield on the field contact and you bolt the field contact, you're pretty happy. Okay, but the contact lived, so he's dead.
He's just dead, yeah. I mean, Okashinsuke may have had some kind of a noble plan here to be able to swing the board back next turn. If he can curate his draws perfectly with, like, guidance for the perfect cards into Brukan lethal, maybe you get there. But realistically, this is just giving up because we know that TIZS has guaranteed lethal here, right? There's no way you don't hit it if you don't mess up.
Well enough mana to find the last Garrote, well enough mana to play any amount of pen flingers he needs to get the last couple draws.
Almost out of cards.
There's the Garrote.
Augur Merchant can hit the board. He actually doesn't even need any more spell damage, but sure.
Yeah, I mean, he's got so much over here. You go Garrote, step, play it. Didn't even need the Mana Biscuit in the end for the extra mana. And that's going to be it. Okashinsuke starting off 2 games to 0. Warlock tick, Demon Hunter tick, winning the matchups he shouldn't. But TIZS Feet Orca is out of here. He's done it.
It was there the whole time. Who was I to doubt Derek? He didn't show it on camera. Doesn't mean TIZS didn't have the missing winning ingredient. He puts it away, it looks like, just so he can be on the winner's shot without his best friend. Come on, TIZS!
Oh man, I just want like one of those corny stories of like a man is walking across the beach and there's one set of footprints and one set of flipper prints on the ocean that occasionally disappears. And it's like, I was with you all along. You just didn't realize. But either way, there we go. I don't really know what I'm talking about. TIZS here taking the win. Very well done. I was impressed with his play throughout. I think even the games that he lost, for the most part, it was just due to bad draws. Like, obviously, the already infamous double fungal fortunes to discard all 3 minions left in his deck. There's simply nothing you can do about that. And the games where he had any agency, I think he piloted it very, very well.
I think TIZS simply played the best this week out of anyone we've seen. Obviously, he had a bigger sample size than others, so there was more room for me to critique, but it just never happened. Like, TIZS had such good understanding of how to play this Garrote Rogue every time he was on it. The Druid as a bring, I'm not sure I'm completely on board with, but it worked out in this situation here. Even though he was down 0-2, we were saying there's the possibility to sweep Quest Shaman. That's what the lineup was kind of built to do. Okashinsuke, some of his decks made sense with that, but it wasn't quite so cohesive in the terms of the target. Possessi also made it pretty far without with a similar strategy of trying to target Quest Shaman, and as it happened, TIZS was able to pull it through in the end there. The Orca deposited somewhere else because TIZS doesn't need any more comfort. He's done it. He's gotten 5 points, and he's propelled himself in playoffs contention.
Yeah, I don't know how I feel about that. Like, throwing away the Orca once it's done its job, show some respect to the real... you know, behind every great Hearthstone player is some kind of totem, I think, or something that comforts them, be